This podcast includes graphic descriptions of sexual assault. It may not be suitable for all listeners.
Okay, your Pepsi's coming. My Pepsi's coming. First of all, I know you're freaking out. Don't freak out. Just relax, okay?
The man with the thick New York accent, that's Detective Joe Riccari.
I want to thank you for coming in, all right?
He's a veteran investigator with the Palm Beach Police Department, and he's talking to a young woman who sits on a couch across from him. He's tall and broad with slick back hair, while she's small and almost swallowed by the cushions.
I understand you may have information on a case that we're looking into, okay? That's the reason why I brought you here today.
I'm not going to get in trouble for anything I say, right?
Right now, you're just a witness.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm talking to you as a witness.
The young woman is 19 years old, and we'll call her Erica. That's not her real name.
I have no problem telling you everything I know.
Okay.
I'm a very cooperative person.
Okay.
Erica is there because Detective Riccari is investigating several reports of sexual assault. It started when a 14-year-old girl got into a fight at school. It might have otherwise gone unnoticed, except that the girl was found with $300 on her. The girl was cagey about where the money came from, but eventually she said she'd gone to a rich old guy's house in Palm Beach and given him a massage. And she says Erica brought her there.
She came to me saying she needed money, da-da-da-da. I basically told her about it. She was like, what do you have to do? I told her, I was like, the more you do, the more you make. That's it. She walked out of there with $300. So she obviously and evidently let him do a little more.
Which was give the massage.
She gave him a massage, and she basically let him, touch her down there.
Okay.
Basically.
And Erica says that for every girl she brought the old man, she also made $200.
So it's like a train.
How many girls have you brought to him?
Oh, a lot.
Who else was underage?
All of them. He told me the younger the better.
The younger the better. All right.
Detective Riccari and the other investigators didn't know it yet, but this case would consume their lives for years to come, theirs as well as the dozens of victims left in the wake. The case involving the rich old guy in Palm Beach would come to include allegations of abuse across multiple continents and several states.
There could not have possibly been a more wealthy, a more powerful, or a more dangerous sexual predator.
There is no other case like this. This is the longest-standing human trafficking case.
This all happened the way it did because of money. Money, power, and influence, no doubt about it.
He certainly got off on the fear of it all and the intimidation of it all and the power in it. I think that's part of what's so hard is I feel like he took my power.
The rich old guy in the mansion in Palm Beach, that was Jeffrey Epstein.
Now to the growing firestorm surrounding multi-millionaire Jeffrey Epstein tonight, arrested and charged with sex trafficking.
Agents raided the Manhattan mansion of financier Jeffrey Epstein. They say they found hundreds.
The indictment says he created a vast network of recruiters to find him a constant supply of minor girls willing to engage in these.
My name is Mark Remillard, and I'm a reporter with ABC News. And I've been working with a team of journalists within ABC's investigative unit to peel back the curtain on how Jeffrey Epstein largely eluded justice for decades. We look at how Epstein built a financial empire, one that provided him with access to young girls and the power to shield himself from punishment.
He's paid his way out of this, and the U.S. government has allowed it.
Jeffrey Epstein is a guy who's become extraordinarily wealthy without any clear path to that wealth.
And we look at how his alleged criminal conspiracy grew over the years with the help of others.
These predators are grooming children. They groomed my sister. They groomed me. It was a whole network working together to bring these girls into his home.
We'll hear from victims, now women, who have waited years to find their voice and tell their stories.
I refuse to let this man win in death. I will not stop fighting, and I will not be silenced anymore.
If you're a victim of sexual abuse, your voice should be heard. Period.
From ABC News, this is Truth and Lies, Jeffrey Epstein. Chapter 1, Palm Beach Predator.
But I'm going to cross the bridge, so here we go.
This is the bridge that takes you from West Palm Beach to Palm Beach. There's a Ferrari right there, coming the opposite way of the bridge. I'm in a car driving to Palm Beach Island, an uber-wealthy enclave just off the mainland Florida coast of West Palm Beach. The fact that people have money here is, well, obvious. All the streets in this area are at least on the Monopoly board. There was Park Avenue, Atlantic Avenue. To understand what happened in Palm Beach and what happened with Jeffrey Epstein, you first have to understand Palm Beach.
In Palm Beach, perception is really everything.
There's a certain lifestyle down here.
Palm Beach is expensive, and it looks expensive.
The norm there in Palm Beach, you're not a millionaire, you're a billionaire.
They call it Fantasy Island.
You can't get on the island for less than $2.5 million.
And this is part of the life.
Palm Beach is filled with mega mansions. Each one is unique. No cookie-cutter tract homes here. I mean, this place actually has a stretch of homes called Billionaire's Row. And whether it is your home, your yacht, or your bank account, in Palm Beach, size matters.
The sport in Palm Beach society is being poser. I mean, it's posing as the best you can. It's to look like you're rich, make sure that everybody knows it.
That's Jose Lambiet, a former Palm Beach gossip columnist who's now a private investigator. If something happens on the island, Jose usually knows about it.
Visually, Palm Beach is stunning. The architecture is very detailed. You have facades of houses with the little statues carved into the walls. And so it's sort of a European-looking place, but with a tropical feeling.
And with the millions and the billions of dollars comes celebrity.
It draws the famous to the island.
You got Rush Limbaugh.
Rod Stewart has a place in Palm Beach.
Howard Stern, the radio guy.
James Patterson has a place in Palm Beach.
Bill Gates, Jimmy Buffett, and Tiger Woods all have homes here as well. But perhaps the most well-known resident at the moment, the 45th president, whose Mar-a-Lago resort caters to the world's rich and famous. Even the island's newspaper is fancy. While it's officially called the Palm Beach Daily News, Palm Beachers have another name for it.
The rich call this the shiny sheet.
My name is Michelle Dargan, and I was a reporter with the Palm Beach Daily News for 20 years.
And how the shiny sheet name came to be makes perfect sense in Palm Beach. Michelle told that to our lead reporter for this story, ABC News senior producer James Hill.
Do people call it the shiny sheet?
Everybody does call the Palm Beach Daily News the shiny sheet. And the reason for that is because it is printed on nice paper that doesn't rub off on your hands.
Is that so they don't get the ink on their tennis whites, that kind of thing?
Yes.
Everyone wants his face in the Palm Beach Daily News.
And she said, I haven't seen my picture in the shiny sheet for 3 weeks. What's going on?
But not far on the other side of the bridge, back on the mainland, it's a whole different world.
When I used to go to these galas or these house parties, and I would cross the bridge back into the real world, it was a real downer. It's a cultural shock to just drive back at night to your own house. Once you cross the bridge, it's a whole different world.
And it's here where the 14-year-old girl whose fight at school began the police investigation of Jeffrey Epstein comes from. It was March 2005 when the young girl's stepmother walked into attorney Spencer Kuvin's office.
I was practicing in North Palm Beach area when a client's family came to us and talked to me and my law partner at the time, about a case. It was a mother that came into us first and told my partner and I a story about her daughter, who was 14 at the time, who had gone to a mansion out on Palm Beach. And what she told us was basically that her daughter had been paid some money to go to a house on Palm Beach and perform a massage on an older man.
Kuvin's first piece of advice, go to the police.
One of the things we talked to the family about is you have to go to police. We have to report this. So she did that. And once she reported it to the police in the town of Palm Beach, they then began their investigation.
The stepmother would talk to police shortly after her meeting with Kuvin, and while the audio is muffled, you'll hear that she tells the officer about the fight at school.
Hi, this is the police department. Hi, how are you? I'm good. I'm returning your call. I apologize. I don't know exactly what for. It's okay. It was an incident that occurred maybe like three and a half weeks ago with one of my stepdaughters who got into a fight, and she had over $300 on her.
She'd tell the detective that her stepdaughter, who we will call Alyssa, couldn't explain where she'd gotten the cash.
And it started out by saying it was paychecks, and then it went to extra Christmas money, and then it went to a supposed drug deal, and then when we asked her what type of drugs, where was it, who was it with, she was a blank. Okay.
When Alyssa ran out of excuses, the truth finally came out. She told her parents she'd gone to the home of an older man who lived in a mansion and said she'd been paid to give him a massage.
Any information on this gentleman? We know he's got a 2-story house in Palm Beach, and he's a gentleman by the age of 45. He's got money out the yin-yang that he can do whatever with money, and he basically does this with a lot of teenage girls.
He basically does this with a lot of teenage girls, she says. Alyssa's stepmom tells the detective that she doesn't know who the man is, only that his name is Jeffrey.
Would your stepdaughter be willing to come in to give me to provide me with a statement?
The very next day, the detective would talk directly with Alyssa.
My time is approximately 2:54.
These police tapes were released to ABC News by the Palm Beach County State Attorney's Office as part of a public records request by our lead reporter, James Hill. The tapes were redacted by police, and they can be hard to understand. Alyssa tells the detective that an older girl, who they'd later find out to be Erica, had brought her to Jeffrey's home to give him a massage. She says he came into the room wearing only a towel, and he told her to take her clothes off. Jeffrey, meanwhile, removes his towel and lays on the table face down. He tells her to get on top of him.
You said that you straddled him. What do you mean by that? Well, I mean, on his stomach.
What Alyssa describes next, Palm Beach police detectives would hear from more than a dozen other girls, all of whom would tell them shocking and strikingly similar stories from their visits to Jeffrey Epstein's home.
Were you clothed?
Yeah, I was clothed, and then he tried to touch me, tried to tear off my shirt. I told him, "Don't touch me," and he said, "Why?" And I was like, "Because I don't like this."
One of the girls they would speak to was then 17-year-old Michelle Licata, who was 16 when she was brought over to Epstein's home.
Took off his towel, and then he was trying to fill my boob.
Today, Michelle is 31 years old, and she says before she met Jeffrey Epstein, she was a happy teenager.
In high school, I was a person that knew everybody. I was friends with anyone and everyone.
She grew up in Florida with 6 siblings. Things were always pretty hectic around the house.
We were going to cheerleading, football, basketball. We had a fun childhood. There was never a dull moment.
She was a good student and had a busy social life.
I had probably a handful of friends that I hung out with all the time. We went to pool parties together. We hung out at each other's houses. We told our deepest, darkest secrets to one another.
And one of her close friends was a girl who she went to middle and high school with.
She was right next to me every class we had together.
And it was one day in class that this friend passed Michelle a note.
It asked if I wanted to make some money for the holidays because Christmas was right around the corner. I was like, it would be really cool to buy something for everybody. So I told her, yeah, I would love to make some extra money for Christmas.
The girl told Michelle about a gig where all she had to do was give a massage to a guy in Palm Beach.
I told her, okay, do I need to have a massage license for something like that? But she said, no, this is completely fine. But if you say anything, I'll beat your ass. So I was thinking more along the lines like I would get in trouble because I didn't have a license to be a massage therapist.
Michelle agreed to have her friend pick her up and go over there after one of her shifts at a nearby supermarket where she worked.
As we were pulling down to Palm Beach, we were pulling into a neighborhood, is when I started wondering, like, well, where are we? Why are we pulling into someone's house rather than an industrial parkway or something? It was like a really big, beautiful